This episode of Ticket Volume is brought to you by us, Invigate. Get service operations under control in no time. Get 1 free month of our software solution by going to try.invigate.com. Ticket Volume is proud to present the Support and Admissions Manager for AIHR, an online learning and edtech company. He's an active participant and positive member on the massively popular support-driven community who got his start managing customer and sales teams in retail telecom. Welcome to Ticket Volume, news and information for improving IT experiences. I'm your host, Matt Barron, and each week I get the pleasure of geeking out with different leaders to share insights on service management, technology, support, business, and everything that we do. So I hope you're having a great day, great week, and I also hope that you'll share our podcast with someone or just leave a comment. Tell us what you're thinking. For now, though, let's begin. Welcome to Ticket Volume, Neal Travis.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate that, man.
My pleasure. I wanted to have you on because I said it in your intro. You have this positive energy. You clearly are driven. I see it on support driven. What a name there. and it really, I could see you lifting people up. So I had to reach out. I had to meet you because there's not that many people in support, in service and support, that have that like totally altruistic, positive attitude still after years of doing it. So how did you get into support? I would love to hear the story of like how you got to this point.
Yeah, I mean, the honest truth that I kind of fell into exactly where I'm at right now. Coming from, I've always been in a service type of role. Like my first job, like real job, I would say I was working at like Smash Burger at a burger joint, just really working front of house, like really doing hospitality and everything there. And then I went to working at car dealerships and moving into retail where it's really like 130 people every half an hour walking in, really, really customers all day, every day. And what kind of drove me to going more specifically into a full support function would be that when I was working in retail and I was really like working with customers to solve their problems because the service teams that were with, phone providers or whatnot were so distant from them of really being able to help them. I was like on the ground floor in their face and I was the middleman a lot of the times, and focusing there was like, I feel like this could be so much better, or like just help the customer. Like really, really, like let's just work together and help it. I remember always telling people like, I'm just the ant on the ant hill, but I'll do as much as I can to make sure that this gets totally fixed for you. So about 4.5 years ago, when I moved to the Netherlands for my wife and where I'm living now, at first it was, hey, I'm going to apply to like any English speaking role or job or anything like that. But now that I fell into, actual full support, I started AIHR, where I'm still currently at, when we were about 8 people, and now we're growing to like 80 plus, and taking that journey of like, hey, now I do get that chance to really focus on building what that experience looks like for customers, being able to help them, really gave me a drive and passion to stay. So that's how I ended up here.
That is such a good story. I love the way that you called Smash Burger a hospitality role, because I don't think that we give enough credit to that, how hospitality is a part of every service.
Yeah.
And your description of like how there are people making products and selling, and then there's customers, and support is kind of like this middleman between the two. I don't think of it that way very often, but it really is that way. And it can drive some people. I'm so glad that you're in the position that you're in, that you get that opportunity to build that, because I think the most rewarding service roles I've been a part of have been doing that exact thing. So congrats.
Thanks. I really think that like depending on of course the company and the industry and the culture that you have, like there are some companies that have a very, very, very customer centric culture and it's very good and easy and they really do focus on that. Depending on where you're at, sometimes there can be that big disconnect, and that's where really driving that vision and culture around customers specifically and wanting to help them is so important.
Exactly. You've nailed it. Not everywhere can be this way. It's just when you're there, enjoy it.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So what are some of the things that inspire you on like a day-to-day basis when it comes to support? Because, excuse me, of course it can be a grind. Of course it can be a lot of work and there's always going to be challenges. So
Yeah.
what do you think keeps you coming back for more?
For me specifically now, uh, I was also in this period where I was doing support completely by myself, and part of what drove me to keep going through that time when it was a very extended period of time, I was like, okay, I'm just doing tickets all day. This is kind of crazy. Now being able to think outside of that box, like, okay, how can I actually improve the experience outside of that? I'm very much a builder. Like I always tell people I have whiteboard brain. So like whenever somebody asks me a question, I'm like hunting for the whiteboard marker. I'm gonna go like draw something out or explain something or do something. And that really helps me stay motivated and building these new and exciting ways that we can make the experience better and help them and really focus on not just the customer experience, but also the experience that we have being able to help them in the first place.
Got it. Got it. Okay. And I have a question about AIHR because it
Yeah.
sounds like you're artificial intelligence HR, but that's not exactly what it is. So what is AIHR?
No, yeah, of course. So we actually originally started out as a blog for people analytics and digital HR. And we had there was such a growing market at the time where people were like, hey, you have this blog, you have this content. What about courses? Do you have courses on that? Can you help us, develop these skills that we have? And over the past 5 to 10 years, human resources has really gone through this huge transition of really needing to become a strategic business partner. And in order to do that, they need to develop a competency set that really can align with business goals and build that employee experience around different competencies. And that's where we come in with our certificate programs, online learning, and self-paced type programs where they can build those competencies to become the strategic business partner.
Wow. Okay, so if you've got an HR professional that's looking to dig deep, send them to AIHR. Interesting. And you use this phrase called supporting the supporters.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what you do, right? So your support team, they're taking calls from these people that are part of this community of HR professionals,
Yeah.
and they have problems like with their e-learning or certifications, and you're helping them out.
Yeah, exactly. What I really like, I always use the phrase like supporting the supporters because I want to make sure that now that I'm in the position to be able to not only make our customer lives better, but also help the actual working process of our team, see how we can make things, better and efficient for them, and really focus on making it, an enjoyable experience to be in support where you get to craft that experience together and build that is really a big focus for me. So now a lot of the times I am lucky enough to have now built a team where I can step out of the queue to be able to work on these kind of larger improvements and projects to be able to help them with that.
Yes, that's all that anyone wants is to feel good about their work. Like you want the extrinsic and the intrinsic rewards, and then just to feel good about work. Yeah, if you're able to provide that, then stick with it, man, because we need people like that all the time.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit twofold for me because that's why I'm also so active and support driven as well. Because like
Mm,
I look at my own team and I really want to support them in being able to grow in their professional and personal development and in support and everything. But in a community like support driven where everybody is focused on that and driving on that, I want to grow together with the community and kind of move that industry forward and give back a little bit of, hey, this is what I'm experiencing. How can I help other people who are going through something that I have been to also get there?
yes, I'm a part of several communities like support driven, but support driven is definitely one of the highest volume. There's a lot of people on there, a lot of, and it's cool because I think one of the things that really draws me to it is you get some of these high level esoteric like pie in the sky kind of questions, but then you really get into the weeds too. Like how should we, a good one that I've been interacting with people on right now is how should we label different versions in our documentation so we know,
Yeah.
if someone's using this version, this is the right documentation, that connect those two dots. And it's those details of support that really keep me yearning for more, like trying to find other companies that are doing that and how they're doing it and then adapting to it.
I think one of the biggest things for me learning from being in all these conversations with people as well is like when I first joined, I was like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna jump in, I'm gonna try and share my thoughts where I can. But then I realized like the depth of how you can go and actually answering or thinking about those types of questions is so much different than you originally expect. Like, hey, how can we like measure CSAT or try and get our first time response up? Like, hey, yeah, this is one thing you can do. But then there's like one thing you can do with this to add more value and this to add more value and more in-depth context and information. It's so like vast and interesting. We have this value at AIHR, which is the hunger to grow. And I always tell people, like, if we have hunger to grow, I am starving for it. And one of those ways that I try and do that is to really get involved and kind of like think about, what is that extra layer of value to this answer or to this explanation or question that I can give, try and make it a little bit more in depth.
Well, I already know what your episode's going to be called, that extra layer of value. That is so it though. And I think a lot of people are looking for it, and some people find it. Some people continue to search for it, or they don't trust that that's what the value is, man. But I mean, the time is now. It's a good time to be in this industry because like you said, there's you can go as deep or as broad as you want to. What
Yeah.
uh what are some
The,
of the challenges you Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say the difficult part is like when I started in support, like the scope of what I know is like this, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I don't necessarily know what I don't know, and as more you grow, the level of things that you understand that you don't know grows with you, and you're like, oh, there's so much that I don't know. There's so much out there to actually learn more, and you become like a little bit obsessed with it. You're like, oh, I really have to understand like. I know that I don't know this and I want to learn more. I'm going to strive for that and learn. But then the more you learn about it, the more it grows. So kind of
Yes.
what keeps me in it.
Yep. I mean, the goal, I don't know. I'm only like 10 years older than you, but I think after you experience those years, you look back and you're like, oh, that's how you figure it out. Like you just have to spend 10 years learning how to, and that's how you grow. Oh
Yeah,
my
exactly
gosh.
right.
But I'm excited to see what new things you learn and bring to the community. What sort of projects are you working on? What gaps or opportunities are you struggling with, or that you've overcome that you'd love to share with the audience?
Yeah, yeah. One of the big things that we did right now is, we have a very small team, and our volume of customers keeps growing. There's a lot more queues, and we're also at a place where we're doing a lot of digital transformations, and so there's a lot of manual work and like operational things that need to also be done alongside that. One of the big things that we were facing was the actual like queue management of volume and everything that goes along with that, and how do we keep up with that to make sure that our customers are being helped within a reasonable amount of time and really making sure that they can be helped quickly. That was one of the challenges that we're facing. We put now a program in place to be able to help fix that and really to help work on that. Some of our other big strategies and focuses this year are going to be really proactive self-service. How do we really help meet our customers where they need it the most and get them information and knowledge management that they can really absorb, consume, and get the answers they need. Two is getting richer data insights from our actual support team and from the actual conversations that we're having. One of the big things that I think a lot of support teams get stuck in is just this operational metrics like, oh yeah, our CSAT's good, it's doing all right, nothing needs to change because customers are still happy, or like these more like just general handle time, first time response metrics. And really, what I want to do is start to take a look at really what's the information that we can draw from our customers, conversations that we're having, and how do we give that back to the business in
Mm.
terms of really giving product insights and real user experience insights from that.
Wow. Yeah, that's a great one. I love that. It When you start thinking about it like an ecosystem like that, you see the power of all the things that you're doing and how not only what other people are doing can amplify support,
Yeah,
but the other way around too, right? Like we have all this information, we have all this data. Um, this is how we can feed the business back, product feedback, customer feedback, understanding your customers. There's so
yeah.
much there. It's like an
I,
untapped well.
yeah, indeed. I have a infographic that I love to show alongside our strategy for this year, which is like this big little infinite loop, and it has three parts to it. The first one is that proactive knowledge management aspect of really how do we get better informed ourselves so we can better inform our customers. How do we take that information and turn it into really, really quality experiences so that we can give them the best experience possible? Then how do we turn that experience and those conversations back into data so that we can get better informed and better knowledge, and it continues in this infinite loop of kind of really feeding it back into this cycle.
Amazing. That is amazing. I just hope that other people hear this and are inspired to do the same, because I think that people forget. I forget that, and it's so easy to stay heads down and focus on your metrics and your queues and your ticket load and not ticket volume, and not look up, and like
Yeah.
take a breath of fresh air and remember that there's a broader perspective here. And that, I think for me, that's what support driven really gives me hope for, that it provides that place for people to have an idea and to explore it further and understand how other people. How does support driven serve you? Are you asking these kinds of questions? Like when you're building your strategy, are you thinking, oh, I should post this on support driven?
Yeah, I've asked a few times for definitely some advice. For example, we're going to be rolling out a quality program later this year, and I've been trying to probe a little bit best practices around really starting that from a zero budget perspective of like what can we do as a team to really start fully embodying a good quality program
Yes.
in order to really fully build it out. So I'm really crowdsourcing some of these ideas, and I'm really trying to use it as a way to stay informed on current trends that are going on. Like when AI hit support, it was this huge flow of conversations, keeping up to date with the information there. And then what I talked about as well before is when I go to answer other people's questions, it's making me think about that extra layer of value and kind of doubling down on my thought process and saying, is that actually what I want to be doing? Or like I'm answering it now. I might as well rethink my answer and what I can do better on that at the same time. So it's kind of prompting me to also kind of revisit and rethink about some of these things.
That's such a good way to think about it. We don't keep well, I don't keep, I'm sure there are people, but I don't keep a journal of what I'm doing at work. And I'm realizing that that is stuff that you can forget easily, right?
Yeah.
If you have it top of mind and you're always reflecting, that's when you realize, okay, this could be a moment for me to learn. This could be a moment for me to try something new.
Yeah.
Very good stuff,
Uh,
dude.
I
Very good
think
stuff.
I think one of the biggest things that it's done for me as well that I didn't mention is that for people who feel very isolated in support. Like when I started, I was, 8 people, so I'm the only customer facing role. Luckily, I had somebody I was working with side by side in it with me. But soon you get into this kind of like isolated silo of, hey, I'm just doing support operations, I'm clearing tickets. Especially when COVID hit, it's very, very isolating. And support driven there has made a much more sense of community around the industry that I'm in, and being able to feel connected to people who understand those struggles that I'm going through and can help me with that as well.
Yes. Okay. So you've mentioned your company grew from 8 to 80. Great. What is your team size right now, performing support?
Yeah. So specifically, just support specialists right now. On my team, we have 3 support specialists and myself. But I also have another team which is really frontline B2C sales. So they're really focusing on that e-commerce aspect as well. So I have a total team of 6, 3 people in each category.
Okay. And you keep support and B2B sales close by each other.
Oh yeah. Currently, our support team is also doing sales operations for the B2B side of things,
Got it.
all of the order processing, everything. So our B2B team is very close to our support team, and customer success is also separate from that we have a very close relationship with.
Excellent. Excellent. That is a cool way to structure. I hope that people, again, I hope you take inspiration to think about, where is the value, and does it actually make sense to have your support team really close to sales or product or
Yeah.
whatever it is?
I think in a growing company, you're always kind of naturally going to start building up these silos. So it is really important to keep those relationships close and keep informed and really feed those conversations back.
You've nailed it. You've totally nailed it. What's one thing that has got you excited over the next, say, 5 years? What do you think is coming in support? What's really what's really noodling in your head right now is something that you'd like to try or implement or see
Yeah.
our industry adopt?
5 years is a long time in a scaling business, bro.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like I would say 80 people is still a very, very small company. So we're going through so much on a regular basis. Even one quarter seems like quite a massive journey. So for me, thinking about it in terms of really what that looks like in the future, for me, I see very, very large companies that are, 500 plus, for example, and we're going to get to that point, building for that along the journey and really focusing on like what are the steps that we need to get there are is exciting to me because it's going to be problem solving, it's going to be figuring it out. The things that we're doing now are going to be completely different than the things that we're doing 5 years from now, for
Yeah.
example. If I had to think of the industry overall, I think that we are in a place where we really also need to start looking at being a more strategic partner to the business and looking at business outcomes as a whole rather than an operational cost center. So for me personally, I'm also on this journey of how can I really become that business partner outside of just, yeah, the mills are running, we're doing good, like people are being helped and they're happy.
Yeah, yeah, make it more than a cost center, make it a profit center. Feed
Yeah,
feed back to the organization, help the organization meet those goals.
yeah. Like what can we do as a support team and what can we do as customer experience to really focus on, reaching our big, hairy, audacious goal that we have as a company, that
Mhm.
vision that we have, and really help to grow along the way.
Yeah, you're in such a good position to do that because the company is young, the team is young, and you have this huge opportunity to really innovate and be that next generation of support and service. So, way to go, Neal. What an opportunity, man.
Thanks so much. I appreciate that.
Yes. Okay. So, where can people connect with you and learn more if they want to, Neal?
Yeah, of course, and support driven. Also in LinkedIn, for example, I'm super open to connections and having that conversation as well. So anywhere there.
All right. Excellent. Thank you. Thank you for your time. Thanks for being on Ticket Volume, Neal.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
And for our audience, did you know that you can join us for a live recording? Register today at ticketvolume.com and click on register or the links for the live recordings. Thank you for listening. You can change and improve this podcast by DMing me or leaving a comment or joining the support driven community and then DMing me on Slack. But speaking of ticket volume, did you know that this podcast is brought to you by Invigate? It's a fit for purpose service desk solution with integrated asset management designed to let you focus on supporting your organization without arduous implementations. In fact, IT teams from Toyota, NASA, and McDonald's use Invigate to manage requests, automate workflows, and centralize inventory data so that they can focus on delivering better service. Because good service is good business.